Advisor, Representative, and President of U.S. Advanced Computing Infrastructures Incorporated. Here to talk today about leptokurtic stocks and our service around providing leptokurtic stocks with low variance to you. So to start it off, I'm just going to walk through the webpage. We share U.S. listed stocks with a leptokurtic distribution and a low variance. So these are stocks that have more results in the tails than a normal distribution. They have more results that are outliers, and they have a greater number of observations clustered tightly around the mean or expected results. That means typically market return will be as expected, but there's a greater chance than normal of a big surprise. We narrow our list of leptokurtic stocks to those that also have a low variance of daily price changes. And we do that by comparing each individual stock to the variance of all the stocks analyzed held evenly in a portfolio. We believe this provides information for a unique trading opportunity in stocks and stock options. And we're running an experiment on 2023 price movements for leptokurtic and platykurtic stocks. So, what is a leptokurtic distribution? Well, I'm pretty sure nobody knows, maybe except us. A leptokurtic distribution, again, has more results in the tails. And you could think of a bell-shaped curve as being lifted off from the x-axis so that there's more room underneath the tails. There's also a squeeze that goes on so that it's taller and thinner, the bell-shaped curve, or the frequency distribution plot. So you get a greater number of observations clustered tightly around the mean or expected result. So formally, a leptokurtic distribution has a standardized kurtosis score that is greater than 3.0, which is normal. Our boundary condition is 4.5. We used to run it at 5.0. We just didn't get enough stocks. You can change it. It's easy. Kurtosis is the fourth central movement of a distribution. Think of it like the fourth derivative. We use it a lot. So, investors may expect a normal distribution of stock prices or some predictability. And they like to look at previous stock price movements and try to predict the future. That makes sense. So stocks, if you believe in a random or efficient market hypothesis, they move randomly. They're expecting new information that's random. But stocks with a leptokurtic distribution, they see the typical observation closer to the mean. It doesn't move much. It's tight. It's boring. It's safe. They think it's a safe stock. But every once in a while, and more often than expected, you'll see an outlier in daily price changes. Okay. Now, what we think is that a stock that has a low variance and is leptokurtic will have a lower cost or price to stock options, calls and puts. But they still have an ability to surprise with a large standard deviation move. So a well-traded, very liquid option would be lower in price. That's great. So at the end of the video, I'm actually going to show you the run from last night and the current leptokurtic and low variance stocks. We share them on our website, and you'll see two numbers: the minimum leptokurtic score and the variance. So the minimum leptokurtic score is a 4.5, and the variance of the whole population at this moment, this was profitable stocks, about 1,500 of them, is 2.5 times 10 to the negative 4. So you look, and here's a stock, SJM, that has a kurtosis score of 13. That's a really high kurtosis score. Here's another one, GILD, 13.9, right? And then there's others that are maybe not as aggressive. CAG at 9, right? And then you also see the variance. So you can look at these. Here's one, Altria, MO, 9.8. So Altria doesn't really move, right? It's very kurtotic. So when it moves a lot. But over time, on average, it doesn't move very much at all. You see Kellogg here with a 7. And that's interesting, right? Now, for the negative net income companies, we don't provide the kurtosis or variance score. But it's interesting, some of these names that you see, right? You see BAX, ALL, that's Allstate and Baxter. That's strange. First off, I didn't know they lost money. And second, they're leptokurtic and have a low variance. And so, interesting. So, I'm going to uncover my name because you might want to know what these stocks are. You might want me to send you a list or reach out. Here's our contact info. We are registered investment advisors. I am Jeffrey Cohen, Highland Park, Illinois. Jeffrey at quantum-usaci.com, 312-515-7333. So let's take a look. This is the downrun stocks. This is the one that we ran yesterday. So let's look for kurtosis. Okay. So the maximum kurtosis score was 13.4, and the minimum was negative 4.65, which would make it a platykurtic. And so let's look. So leptokurtic stocks that have low variance, right here. ALL, BAX, you can't read that. Let's go back again. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes I forget how hard it is to read when the text is so small. So you get different lists. You get lists of leptokurtic with low variance. You get also leptokurtic with slightly higher variance. And so you might want more leptokurtic stocks to look at. And we can tailor this if we get enough feedback from our clients. So money losers, XRAY, SBRA, PROG, ONL, MCY, KN, Jazz, which is a therapeutics company, CINF, BAX, which I believe is Baxter, and ALL for Allstate. So those are the stocks that are leptokurtic, low variance. I'm going to open up a new note. I'm going to stick them here. That way I can put them in the description of the video. So now let's take a look at the money-making stocks. Companies that make a profit. And we're going to take a look. This is the one that's against the S&P 500. Kurtosis. So, the minimum and maximum kurtosis values found. Holy cow. 198? Does that even sound right? No, it doesn't. And then negative 0.27. So you've obviously got platykurtic. You've got a very heavy kurtosis score there. And so let's take a look. So these are the stocks. And so I'm looking. Amgen. Oh, you know what? I bet it has a high kurtosis, but it also has a higher variance. That's why. There it is. Like Activision. ATVI has a high kurtosis, but also a slightly higher variance. So that's why that one. What else is a very high kurtosis? Got 100. Look at this one. STOR has a kurtosis score of 43. So these are stocks that are rather abnormal. MGI. My guess is that there's hedge fund managers out there that are playing this game all the time. Hey, let's look at the most kurtotic, the highest leptokurtic stocks, and let's play them. Let's work the options. Let's do it, right? So here's where they are, and here's the stock. So you would get this every day. You would get this every day. You get it before the market opens. You can see things actually change a lot, right? And some of these stocks are pretty widely traded, right? STZ is Constellation Brands. That one's been really moving. It fell a lot. But look at that. It's a 7.14 standard kurtosis score, low variance, and yet the thing dropped like a rock. If you were on the right side of that option bet, that was generational wealth you just made. And so that's exciting. And then names that you maybe aren't sure, right? You don't, what am I looking at here? Hormel, General Foods, Kellogg's, Constellation Brands, Altria. I think that's Heinz ketchup, Hershey's, Coke, K-O, Amgen. I think CAG is Cargill, but I'm not sure. But net, these are well-known companies. ATVI, Activision. Let's see if there's any others here that I recognize that are kind of interesting, maybe with higher variance. MKC, I believe that's McCormick Spices Company, right? So interesting. CVS, which is the drug company, the pharmaceutical company and healthcare provider. So interesting. So you would get this set of stocks, you might look at the options and go for it. So I actually showed a chart just to be funny, right? Here's what a leptokurtic distribution looks like. It's a very tall peak, very squeezed in the middle. But on the edges, there's lots of stuff, right? There's lots of room for outliers. Finally, we have some new research we're doing in 2023. We take our stocks, and we have a set of stocks that passed on December 30 with leptokurtic and low variance, and platykurtic and high variance, and we track them. So there were 24 of those stocks. And what we want to do is we want to see, did those stocks have any type of non-normal returns that might give you an edge, right? And so we look at our hypothesis, right? So what's the date? What's the range? So largest daily loss of a stock that day, percentage, largest daily gain. And then what's the median daily return? What's the number of gainers out of 24? Do these things have a higher likelihood of gaining? And then let's normalize it against the S&P 500 daily performance. And what you'll see is when the S&P 500 goes up, these leptokurtic low variance stocks don't really keep up. When the S&P 500 goes down, these stocks outperform. In a way, these stocks answer the famous question asked by one of our clients, Jeffrey, do you have stocks with asymmetric betas? Maybe we do. Asymmetric beta. This is so interesting. It's like the Sampo in the Finnish epic poem, the Kalevala. We might have found it. So I want to thank you for watching. And this is our service. If you become a paying client, you get a list of all the leptokurtic stocks with low variance. You get a mix of them, and you get it every day. So hopefully you'll find this valuable. If you just want to know for free, come to our website. It's chicagoquantum.com/leptokurtic. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.